Wow, hello. So, I'd like you to take a deep breath, because I need to take one, and just to kind of relax yourself and bring yourself into the space. I want you to breathe and think, how do you feel right now? Right in this moment, how are you? How is your brain? If you could pop your brain out and have a look at it, I kind of always wish I could do that now. If you could pop your brain out and have a look at it, how would it be today? Is it feeling healthy? Do you feed it with good thoughts, good food, good movement? How's your brain? Because my brain, right now, is in healing mode. It's not been very well for a couple of years. 2 years ago, I kind of thought I had everything sorted. Anything that challenged me, I thought, I can work it out. I know how to fix things. I can fix things. And then suddenly, something happened that took everything away from me in a moment. I was training for a triathlon. I'd done triathlons for 10 years. I'd swum open water for 10 years. So if any of you swim open water, you don't need to worry about this story. I think it's quite rare. And I was doing my last race before going out to the age group Team GB Europeans. And I did the event, and it went well. It was a little bit cold, but I did the event. It was fine. 10 days later, I was at a big fashion show in London. And the lights and cameras, much like this, but a lot noisier. And suddenly, everything within about 20 minutes changed. I just had this huge pain and tension at the back of my head. Everything, the noises became just like this massive confusion in my mind. I was sort of sweating, my heart rate was going up, and I just thought, there's something really wrong with me, but I don't know what. And I had to get out. And in a moment, everything literally stopped. My kind of world stopped. Obviously, no World Triathlon Championships. That was kind of put on hold, has never been picked up again. And it turns out within those 10 days that something called Weil's disease was incubating in my body. And I reckon I was swimming along behind a very ill rat. I think this rat was like not feeling good because he left me feeling very bad. And Weil's disease is from rat's urine. And I didn't drink a lot of the water, but it's a bacteria and a virus, and it attacks your neurology, it attacks your organs, and it basically wants you to die. But it's quite a complex kind of disease, like many things. And through the last 2 years, I've spent many days thinking, am I a fraud? Am I making this up? Is this real? Is it something else? What is it? And Weil's kind of does this. And I'm recovering from that. But the unfortunate, lucky thing that happened was that the virus crossed the blood-brain barrier, they think, and gave me something called encephalitis. Again, it's quite hard to sort of really pinpoint. So that's where the sort of self-doubt comes in. But it affects my brain, it affects my functioning, it affects the frontal lobe, social interaction. So all the things that made me suddenly in this kind of day changed. And I went from thinking I could fix me and do anything to not leaving my house, spending many days on the floor, just kind of lying there. And I got to the point where I thought, I can either live like this, which is safer, or I can pause and start to take control of where I am right now. And my story, I'm sure most of you can relate to. It doesn't need to be a big thing, But sometimes you get stuck, and life gets smaller and smaller, and you kind of get more fearful. And I was sort of stuck in this adversity of, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to look at myself, and I don't want to deal with this. And I kind of, not lost, but a lot of friends and people stepped away, because it's a really weird thing, like you look okay, but you're not okay. And I think many people can relate to that. So I had an amazing support team, Encephalitis Society, a couple of doctors, friends, family. My knowledge as kind of a fitness professional, DNA training, NLP training, so neurolinguistics, all of that helped me. And what I want to share today is if you've got some adversity in your life, what do you do to kind of not overcome it, but maybe accept it and move forwards? And I started with fear. Over the last 2 years, I've kind of grown in fear, which isn't really the best thing, but I kind of wasn't fearful of things before. And the fear got greater and greater, and my world got smaller and smaller. And I thought, I've got to accept this. I've got to embrace the fear. I've got to kind of be brave, but also allow myself to feel afraid. And that happens kind of every week, because I'm still managing this condition, however you want to see it. And I took a piece of paper, and this helps anybody, I believe. And I wrote down the things on one side of the piece of paper that kind of limited me, that I was scared of. Not everything, because that would have taken too long, but kind of the 2 or 3 key things. And then on the next side, I put a little plan of how can I move from this state of complete fear to something that's a little bit more helpful? And it's sort of bringing in an NLP technique, but just keep it simple. And I wrote that down. And I kind of play this dance back and forth along this script of fear to brave to fear to brave all the time. But by writing it down, it helped me to take ownership of that. Then I had to work out who I was. And I think a lot of people struggle, now there's so many social mediums, who are you? I had to work out, who am I? Because I knew who I was before I was stopped. I was lucky, I kind of felt confident and happy, and what I did was sport and performance, and I loved music, and I loved cooking and interaction. At the moment, none of that is really possible without a lot of management. So I took a big piece of paper and I wrote down, who am I? Who do I want to be? What's going to make me happy? And I started to sort of put out, cut out quotes, words, things, and stuck it onto this piece of paper. And it gave me a piece of grounding. But what I needed then was a word. I needed a word that would make me get out of the front door when I've had a bad day. And I think everybody can relate to that. And I kind of looked around, and I found the word brave. And then I found that Kim means brave. And I was like, that's my word. And so today, that's my big anchor, is brave. But find one for you. What would you like your word to be that would help you to step up a level, wherever that is for you? So I'm feeling brave, and I've kind of accepted the fear. But what I did before to get fit and healthy was kind of the opposite of what I needed to do now. So then I looked at something called DNA Fit, which is quite new, and it links within the professional side of my work. And it tests your sort of DNA and sort of tells you what DNA strands work really well in your body and which ones don't. And for me, it was invaluable because it gave me a thread of the markers, of all the inflammation markers were very raised. My recovery kind of through training and through life was kind of slow, and I was quite low in all your omegas. So there was a thread of the inflammation markers in my body. So I started to adapt to my nutrition, adapt my movement, and increase my rest. And this really helps me to manage my condition. And I think the key one in that flow is probably rest. And people who know me, I know, will be like, you're not very good at that still. And on a good day, I like to do. But I think rest is something that most of us lack, and it can make a huge difference. So That's inside what I did. Outside, I then read a book called The One Thing, and that's been my focus on do one thing each month, each day that's going to make a difference. There's many other things I want to do, but my focus isn't great. So by choosing one thing to do really well and focusing on that, I believe I can do that well. I hope I can. And try it yourself. Then I spoke to an amazing 95-year-old lady who was a speaking coach. She was amazing. And she just said, Kim, do not let yourself kind of entertain all the challenges and the negativity and the adversity or whatever you're going through. Don't kind of give yourself the space to entertain that. Make yourself have fun each day. Make yourself laugh or smile, and also laugh about the situation. You know, the Weil's disease and the Encephalitis, the metaphor I use is Roland the rat. You know, and instead of feeling worried about it, I'm like, right, Roland's come along. You know, he's come along, he's spending some time, he needs to kind of be here. And each day, however challenging my day is, I will write one or two things down that have made me kind of smile, feel good, and one learning that I need to remember to do differently. And again, that's something that I find helpful, and it doesn't take kind of very long. And the smiling, the laughing, I think is really important, because I think when things are challenging, you can get serious. Like I got almost serious in controlling everything because I had to be able to do things. So I then stepped back and was like, just let it go, just laugh, just be in that moment and have some fun. Or as Pat, this lady said, have some mischief. You know, have a little bit of mischief. I think it's good to be lighthearted. And then something that I've always had as a clear value is to give back. So to give back in any form, but however challenging your situation is, take something and give it back to someone. Make them feel good. Give a random act of kindness. Do something, because it really does help. Those are the things that I've kind of used as my anchors. Overall, what I learned from the adversity is I had to learn to like myself. Okay, I'll take a deep breath there. And to say that on stage is like, you know, wow, are you honest with that? But I did have to learn that, because I think it's kind of a protection, and everything went wrong, and I really didn't like myself, and in moments, I still don't. But if you don't value yourself, and you don't respect yourself, and you don't like yourself, then when things are tough, how can you help yourself? I think sometimes we're kind to ourselves when we should kick ourselves to move forwards, and then other times we kick ourselves when we should be kind. So my great expectation today, and my great kind of hope, is that you take something that you're finding challenging right now, and you breathe in a sense of courage, confidence, bravery, whatever you need. You breathe in something positive, and you hold that breath for a count of 4 to 6 seconds. And you breathe that in. And then you breathe out what you don't need. So you breathe out fear. And that breathing technique is really helpful. It's useful. It's used with people all the way up to the Marines. They use that as an anchoring which changes your physiology. And so as you sit here and when you leave later today, I would love you to take one thing that you want to do for yourself that will add value to your life, and let go of the fear that is attached to it. And then I believe that you can overcome adversity a little bit and take a step forwards. Thank you.